Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about Deku was in Fate Grand Order. So, in the last video, Deku, after Izuku woke up and finally meet up with his parents again, Izuku was told to go to the office of Principal Nezu and Mr. All Might. So, Izuku said this to All Might and Principal Nezu. So, am I going to be fired? So, they said that they never want to fire him because, Izuku's pretty powerful, and they don't want that type of person being influenced or being used as like for this means. So, they just keep them for themselves, not for other reasons. So, after they told Izuku about everything that happened, well, Izuku was also told that he has to go to an agency, specifically near Shibuya. Apparently, some villainous type people have been going there for some reason. So, after doing that, Izuku came back to the school as several people started whispering about him. One person even tried to fight him, but Izuku just summoned out Enkidu and chained him up. So, after Izuku got back to class, everybody was weirded out seeing his prosthetic arm. Seeing it weirded them out because they're so used to having Izuku having one arm. So, after they pick their hero names, Izuku starts going off to that hero agency. After getting to that hero agency, Izuku met up with the hero that's running it. He's not really well known, by the way. So, after almost the last day, Izuku saw that there was an attack near, like, on a certain park. So, Izuku goes to that park and sees that the attackers, or should I say, the people that are staying over there, being the ones that are causing the trouble, is Mash Kirielite and her two servants. Semiamis, the assassin of black, not really black, more like red, and King Protea, the alter ego of red. So, after Izuku tried to fight them off, while Izuku was captured, as Mash started saying that it's Izuku, saying that, well, that's her senpai, but Izuku confused as she starts saying that you're, or that's her kohai. Actually, more like her senpai. But Izuku was confused. She started getting mad, saying that it's all their fault, thinking that, well, they're, or should I say, as in there, I mean Principal Nezu and the other heroes might have, let's just say, brainwashed them. So she starts making Izuku remember, but Izuku doesn't know, saying that he's not Fujimaru Ritsuka, until Izuku decides to try and fight her. Izuku was stopped by two different servants, run by two different people. One was Altoria and Lancer Alter. Yeah, that's a pretty long name. And Edmond Dantes, the Avenger of Red and the Lancer of Red. Izuku ran away because he doesn't want to fight them. And Izuku also met Emi Alter, the Red Archer. So, when he uses his Noble Phantasm, Unlimited Lost Works, Izuku's arm basically exploded, specifically his prosthetic arm. Izuku tried running away, but Izuku was stopped by the Berserker of Red, specifically Vlad. So, Izuku's Vlad tried saving him, as Izuku has to activate his Noble Phantasm, or should I say his other Noble Phantasm. It's called Legend of Dracula. So, after making a way where Izuku can go out and basically escape, well, they escaped unharmed except for Izuku's prosthetic arm. So, after doing that, Izuku reported what happened, as they don't know what to do because the League of Villains have servants now, but Izuku has a way. Izuku told Principal Nezu and All Might to call upon some museums because it's going to be getting some catalyses or catalysi, so they can give it to people, or should I say students, because after all, because it's a Holy Grail war, it should be obvious what they're gonna be doing. They're gonna be making the Black Faction, giving specific students each of these catalysi so they can summon their servants. So yeah, that's basically what happened last time. So let's begin the next episode. So let's talk about what happens next. So before we start the video, I want all of you to like this video and also subscribe to this video. If you're not subscribed, you should definitely go subscribe because not very not very people like subscribe to me. The majority of you never subscribe to me. So if you want to see more content like this, like well, this series, then go and subscribe. Okay, good. So let's get to the story. So Izuku was told that they're gonna be going to a training camp very soon. Izuku was told of this pretty early, as Izuku says this. Oh really? That's great. Izuku kinda smiles because Izuku plans to give two classes, or should I say, um, each person from these two classes their own catalysi or catalyses so they can summon their servants, creating the Black Faction. So, after a while, or should I say a few weeks, actually not a few weeks, more like a few months, it's finally the day where they're gonna be going to the training camp. So, these two classes were Class 1A and Class 1B. Class 1A and Class 1B were while Izuku was not really excited all that much. So apparently there was no space for any of the people, specifically for Izuku, Bakugo, and Kendo. So Izuku summons out one of his rider class servants. So Izuku calls upon Alexander to create his chariot, but Alexander said this. Wait, chariot? I don't even have a chariot. How am I? As Izuku says this. Don't worry, I have an idea. So, Izuku calls upon some friends of his. These friends were some of his old classmates back when he was in Germany. They made a chariot that allows Alexander to use his mount, which I can't remember the name of that horse, and also gives a little bit more room for him to ride the because he's a rider servant, you know that. Anyway, so Izuku starts riding on the back of the chariot with Bakugo and Kendo on tow. So they started going off to the training camp. After they arrived, it was pretty normal-ish until 5 people appeared. Izuku doesn't know them because the teachers wanted to make it a surprise for Izuku and the rest of the students. So, these people, specifically one, put her hand on the ground and basically created a big, which everybody started falling down to the ground. Izuku instinctively summoned out one of his servants, specifically Ivan the Terrible, which Izuku tells him to transform into his mammoth form, and thankfully, everybody, as Monoma said this. Wait, who is this? As Izuku says this. Well, that's Ivan the Terrible, the Tsar of Russia. As he says this. Wait, that's Ivan? I thought he was like a king, not like a freaking elephant. As Izuku says this. Yeah, as Izuku says this. Well, servants can be transformed or at least changed depending on their story. In this case, this is the story where let's just say let's just say Ivan was a terrible king and a sorcerer, let's just say that. As they say this. Really? There's a story like that? As Izuku says this. Yeah, trust me. several servants can be changed and interchanged, or even, well, transformed, even turned into mystical creatures or something like that. Even change their weapons or even change their legends. As they say this, specifically not Monoma, I meant, Kaminari. Um, can you please explain that but except simpler? As Izuku says, Izuku sighs, as Izuku says this. You can basically change their stories if you have enough people. As Kaminari says this. Oh, okay. As Izuku says this. Anyway, servants can also be changed into, well, anybody if you have enough people to maybe influence. Even you can become a servant if your legend was that legendary, I guess. As one of them, being Bako, said this. Wait, you can become a servant? As Izuku says this. Yeah, just as long as you have a great legend or a famous legend or something like that. Like, for example, Vlad the Impaler or Vlad III. As one of them, being Ibarra, says this. So, if your legend was um well known, you will be recorded into this Throne of Heroes? As Izuku says this. Yeah, how do you know about the Throne of Heroes? As she says this. Oh, I just made that up. Izuku says this. That's an actual thing. As Ibaro says this. Wait, there's an actual Throne of Heroes? As Izuku says this. Yeah, the Throne of Heroes is where every single hero is recorded, like for example Gilgamesh, Artoria Pendragon, Enkidu, Vlad, Billy the Kid, which he's technically more of a anti-servant or anti-hero servant. As they say this. Okay. As Izuku says this. And oh yeah, Hessian or Hessian Lobo, he's not technically a servant per se. As they say this. Really. Izuku explains that Hessian Lobo or Hessian Lobo is not a normal servant. In fact, he's more of a phantom servant, mixed with several other phantom servants, one of which is the Headless Horseman, Lobo from, I think it was American mythology, I believe, I can't remember, and the Invisible Man, as one of them being Kaminari says this. So, he's basically a psychopath with the ability to turn invisible, and also rides on a freaking wolf. That's terrifying. As Izuku says this, terrifying but effective. So, after a while of talking, they made it to the training camp, which the rest of the heroes and the rest of, well, not class 1A, I meant the rest of like UA staff is basically there. So, they started training. As a while has passed, they started eating dinner. Wait for a second. So, after a while, they started eating dinner as everybody started, well, acting a little bit friendly. Even Bako started, well, getting used to, well, Class 1B. Monoma started becoming a little bit more kind to, well, Class 1A. As for Izuku, he starts getting ready for the ritual in, like, after he ate dinner. So, Izuku starts ripping the heads off of chickens, creating the blood sacrifice. Or should I say the symbol where people can summon out their servants. So after doing that, well, All Might arrives as he says this. So are you God? As Izuku says this. What? This is how traditional summoning servants or traditionally summoning out servants are usually held out. Using blood of, well, any type of animal. As he says this. Uh okay, but it definitely looks terrifying. As Nezu says this, I agree. As Izuku says this, well, it is traditional, so yeah. Anyway, hey mom, dad. As Izuku's mother and father are basically also there. As they say this, what is it, son? As Izuku says this, so do you have the catalysts? As they say this, yep, definitely. So, after getting the 7 catalysts, Izuku says this, okay mom, dad, you can do whatever you want. As they say this, no, we want to see our son try and do it. I mean, you are a teacher now. And for Izuku's dad, Comrade says this, I'm really proud of you having a job. Even though it's a teacher's, well, a job for teachers, which he kind of like huffs as Principal Nezu says this. What is it about your father? Why does he seem mad about teachers? As Izuku says this. Well, after becoming a mage or before becoming a mage, he was somewhat a teacher's pet, so he was bullied for that. As Principal Nezu says this. Really? As Izuku says this. Anyway, let's get ready. So, specific students have come to this school, or should I say, come to this training camp, to get ready for the ritual. So, the specific students were Bakugo Katsuki, Kendo Itsuko, now Nato Monoma, Shoto Todoroki, Ijiro Kirishima, Setsuna Tokage. I can't remember. I don't really remember her all that much. And Denki Kaminari. So, after calling Class 1A and Class 1B, they were brought to the site. As one of them, wait for a second. Jiro said this. What is this? What are you doing? As Izuku says this. Don't worry. Let me explain. After Izuku explains what happened during the internships, one of them being... wait for a sec. Bakugo said this. So, you were attacked by this girl? Who was she? Is she trying to, like... As Izuku says this. Hold up. Can you please be patient? Anyway, the reason why we made this ritual is because we handpicked some specific students to give servants to. Because apparently another Holy Grail War has come. As one of them being Monoma said this. Wait, another Holy Grail War? You said that, or your mother said that it was finished or something. As Izuku says this. Not quite. It seems that the Greater Grail has finally showed itself. As one of them being wait for a second. Ibara said this. What is this Greater Grail? Izuku explains the Greater Grail is basically like the Holy on steroids. And a little bit of meth. Let's just say that. Let's just say Kirishima was weirded out after Izuku explains what it is. As Kirishima said this. Wait. So this Greater Grail is basically like the Holy Grail but greater? As Izuku says this. Yeah, that's basically in the name. So, we picked some, let's just say 7 people or 7 students to become masters of these specific servants. The Saber, Archer, Rider, Caster, Lancer, Avenger, and Assassin class. And the reason why I picked Avenger because, well, you know. Anyway, as they say this, so we're going to be given these servants. As Izuku says this. Right. So, everybody was given their cat. One was what do you call it? One was a cloak. The other was a gem shaped or a necklace that's in the shape of a heart. The other is a helmet from the Sengoku period. The other was a golden mask. The other was a spear from the from Rome. Not really Rome, more like Sparta. The other is a skull. Specifically the skull of like a or something. They don't know. And finally a Iron Maiden. So they basically get ready for the ritual as they say the chant. Just imagine the chant from like Fate Apocrypha. So, after they finish the chant, a burst of black, almost demonic energy appears. But to Izuku, It's actually heavenly. So, 7 servants were summoned. One of them had a veil. The other was a red-suited man with dark skin and white hair, and wielded 2 knives. The other was a woman who wielded a giant katana. The other was a man who was riding on a large golem. The other was a man similar to a Spartan. The other was a gigantic woman with wings made out of gold, like specifically like looked like angel wings and had like serpents for hair. And finally, a woman with the Iron Maiden behind her as a weapon. As Bakugo was introduced to her servant, as she says this, I am Altera, so are you my master? As for Kendo, she looks up and sees her servant as he says this, I am Emiya Shiro, so are you my master? As for Nato Monoma, he sees his servant. By the way, at least he's not going to be abusive at least. As the servant said this, I am Ushi Wakamaru, so I'm guessing you're my master. Shoto Todoroki looks up and sees his servant as he says this, so I am Evisi Bron, so I'm guessing you're my master, I believe. As Eijo Kirishima, or Kirishima for short, sees his servant, as the man with the spear and shield said this, I am Leonidas, the king of Sparta. So, I believe that you're my master. I will gladly fight for you. As for... wait for a second. Tokage sees her servant, the gigantic woman, as the gigantic woman says this, I am Gorgon, the hero killer. I am the destroyer of heroes, but I will gladly join you in your battle, just to get the Holy Grail. And finally, for Denki Kaminari, he sees the woman with the Iron Maiden as a weapon, as she says this, I am Carmilla, the Blood Countess. So, you're my master. It's nice to meet you, but I do need your blood. All of them, including the students that don't have servants, say this. Whoa, so those are their servants? As for the rest of the 7 students that have these servants say this. So you're our servants? As Izuku says this, we handpicked them just because of your personalities. Like for example, you, Kirishima, your whole thing is like training, right? So Leonidas is going to be perfect for you. And you, Denki Kaminari, because your affinity to, well, let's just say womanizing women, I picked you with Carmilla. And for you, Kendo, Emiya will be perfect for you. And for you, Bakugo, Altera, aka Attila the Hun, is perfect for you. Just because of your rambunctious, well, personality, I guess. So, after they met their servants, well, the servants decided to go to sleep with each of their masters. Except for the ones that are boys that are paired up with girls or the opposite. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video because, well, the next video is probably going to be the end of, well, this series. Probably. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Just don't forget to, well, subscribe. Okay? Bye-bye.